The LiveWire One can go everywhere the Mulholland can go, but the Mulholland can't necessarily go everywhere that the LiveWire One can go. And I just wanted to give my thoughts as a LiveWire One owner and an S2 owner, not a Mulholland but a Del Mar, to try to maybe help you decide which one's the best option. And just like any motorcycle that's in your garage, it all comes down to the purpose of it. You know, what are you trying to do with it? What kind of rides are you trying to take? The LiveWire One, it's a little bit more of a sportier bike, more aggressive seating position, much more aggressive seating position actually. Handlebars are a little bit lower. Mulholland further back, more relaxed riding position. Technically the LiveWire One is quicker off the line, not by much. LiveWire One's got a higher top speed, but again, not by much. And so I think it kind of really boils down to where you're trying to ride, like what kind of riding you're doing. And what I mean by that is, like, are you just going out to ride around the neighborhood or ride around your area, or are you trying to go somewhere like a light touring? Very, very soon I'm actually going to tour on a Mulholland to see what it's like. I'm going to do 600-700 miles on it, to be on the lookout for that video on the channel, a month or two, just depending on how long it'll take me to edit. But when I think about the difference between the LiveWire One and the Mulholland, obviously range is a big consideration. And not only single charge range, daily range, how far are you going to try to get in a day, because you can go a lot farther on a LiveWire One because it's DCFC equipped than you can on a Mulholland, depending on where you're riding. Obviously you have to have the network there. If the LiveWire One would have ever taken advantage of level 2 charging also, it would have been more popular of a bike, I can guarantee that. I'm here in Virginia on the East Coast. We have a very healthy network of both level 3 and level 2 chargers. I can get a good bit of places on either bike. I can't always go to the same places on both bikes. I can have some good runs on either bike. And so you really got to look at where would you ever want to ride, and don't look at necessarily where you're already riding. Look at where you would want to go. What is a ride that I would want to do? Because the destination or maybe the road itself, the ride itself, should dictate where you're going to go. You don't always want to limit yourself to just only where chargers are. And I get some parts of the country or some parts of the world, that's all you really can do. I can't really speak to that again, because where I'm at, it's pretty healthy everywhere. Look at where you want to ride, where you hope to ride, and then pull up PlugShare. It's an app that shows where electric chargers are for vehicles. Set the filters for level 1 and level 2 charging, or sorry, level 2 and level 3 charging. And make sure you set it for 1450 outlets, Tesla destination chargers, because you want to get a full breadth of what the area is like where you're trying to go. And that should be a determining factor, because, I mean, it's just like you wouldn't ride a motorcycle where there's no gasoline, if, you know, at a point to where you would need it. Only because the LiveWire One can accept level 2 charging. It doesn't charge at a level 2 rate, unfortunately, but it does accept level 2 charging. And many times I've charged off level 2 sources. Just, you know, I needed a quick pick-me-up, or I just needed a little bit of a bump in range. The Mulholland can't accept DCFC signal. It's a completely different electrical signal that's going to the bike. Way too high a voltage. So just keep that in the back of your mind. With these bikes, there's always a way to play with physics to get yourself a little bit further than what you think you probably can go. The ranges that are listed on LiveWire's website, in my experience, are pretty accurate, especially during the summertime. During the wintertime, it's going to drop just because the battery chemistry gets kind of sluggish due to the cold weather. During riding season, for most people, the ranges are accurate. A Mulholland could go 250 miles in an area where a LiveWire One could probably only go 130 before you'd have to stop and charge. With a charging stop in between on the Mulholland, you know, 2 to 3 stops, you could get about 250 miles. Definitely 200 miles easily. Another thing to consider is availability of accessories. You know, there aren't really many accessories available for the LiveWire One. And I'm talking official accessories. Obviously, I have my own accessories for the LiveWire One, but you know, one accessory that I'm currently working on, but I don't think that I'll ever be able to have it up for production for selling, is luggage system. Now, SW Motec does sell a luggage system. LiveWire and Harley Davidson sell a tank bag for the LiveWire One, which is good. but it's not perfect. It's I've always been left wanting, even though I use the tank bag quite often. But I mean, like proper luggage, proper tail luggage, proper side storage luggage. There's nothing official from LiveWire, but there is for the Mulholland, and it recently just came out. It's the same bags that you can use for the Del Mar. It's the same bags across all S2 platforms, but the actual mounting system just came out. And there's more accessories that are coming for the Mulholland. You know, they just got bar end protectors. You can't do that on the LiveWire One. It's the throttle system does not allow for bar end protectors to be installed. At least to the end of the handlebars, you can't. You know, one thing that you got to consider is that, you know, there was a lot of research and time and effort that went into the design of the LiveWire One under Harley Davidson. There were some small revisions once the split off happened with LiveWire, but those are all internal to the rider. You can't really tell what those differences are, but obviously from a hardware and software perspective, there are changes. All of that experience in design and battery technology, that all got carried over to the S2 platform. And in my opinion, as a whole, the S2 is a much better electric motorcycle because there's all that experience and design that has gone into the S2. Now, are there some things about the S2 platform that really bugged me? Absolutely. You know, there are features, rider features that are on the LiveWire One, like certain displays and readouts and stuff that are just not, they're not there on the S2. And guy, that pisses me off that LiveWire still hasn't added those features in a firmware update. But there's also features that the S2 has that the LiveWire One doesn't have, like really good navigation TFT integration, really good tech integration. You know, there are more things, software over-the-air updates. You can't do that on the LiveWire One, but you can do it on the S2. Quality of life updates that need to happen, LiveWire can just send it over the air. Your bike just downloads it without you having to do anything. It's really handy feature. You know, and then you can talk about the aesthetics, the way the bikes look and stuff like that, and that's all really personal preference. But I think that what it's really going to boil down to over which one you want, again, apart from aesthetics, the amount of range or the amount of distance you can cover in a single charge, and then your ability to recover energy once you've expended that battery. Those are really the two things that are going to distinguish whether you want a LiveWire One or an S2 Mulholland. They're both really great bikes in their own way. I think the Mulholland stock is a little bit more comfortable than the LiveWire One. It's, again, it's a less aggressive riding position. The legs, they feel pretty much the same to me between the two bikes. I know that I'm very fortunate in the sense that I own both bikes. I own an S2 and a LiveWire One, and I can really make that comparison. And to be honest, the bike I pick for that day depends on what I'm trying to do. If I'm trying to cover a lot of distance really fast, or in the shortest amount of time possible, I'm going to pick the LiveWire One. If I want something agile and nimble, and I just want to be able to get on the bike quickly, I'm going to take the Del Mar just because it's such an agile and nimble bike. And that's how the Mulholland is. The S2's got way more accessories, usable functional accessories than the LiveWire One. And I think that kind of puts the S2, the Mulholland, I think that puts it ahead of the LiveWire One in terms of, you know, people that may want the bike. Again, the only thing that I would see is you want that DCFC, that really fast charging, a little bit better range, and that's really going to be it. Some people in the comments, some other videos have commented about, you know, if there's going to be a LiveWire 2 coming out. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. You know, I think it really depends on how the motorcycle industry does in the next few years. Everyone's kind of hurting right now. Everybody's numbers are down, and not just Harley, not just LiveWire. I mean, Energica just went bankrupt, and they were by far some of the most competitive and best bikes on the market. As far as features and range, Energica had the fastest charging, and they went the farthest with the Xperia, and they went bankrupt. It's hard. The industry's really getting hit hard right now, so I wouldn't hold my breath on an updated version of the LiveWire One. I could be completely wrong, and if I am, obviously I will admit and own up to it. I don't foresee it happening now. I think some makers are starting to see how there needs to be smaller, more affordable bikes to get entryway for people to get into EVs. And then once that industry matures, then people, you know, they're going to outgrow them. They're going to want something bigger. And that's what these bikes are for. If you are potential buyer, you're shopping around for either a LiveWire One or a Mulholland, you know, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. That's just my perspectives. You ask someone else, they're going to say something totally different. But I think what both of us would agree on is that if you really want to know, get your butt in a seat, get your butt in a saddle, and go take both of them for a test ride if you can. I know that some people it's really hard, maybe not in your area, there's no dealers, but there may be riders that are somewhat close. And you know, they may not let you ride the bike, but they may let you sit in the saddle and see what it feels like. My buddy Diego over in California, he's always organizing meetups. LiveWire is always organizing meetups. Again, that's really dependent on the location though. Try to get a test ride. Maybe you're driving through an area in the coming months that there's a dealer nearby. It only takes a few minutes to get set up for a test ride. You can probably call the dealer in advance, send all of your information. They can have the paperwork ready. They can have it ready for you so that way when you show up, you just hop on the bike, you go test ride both, and then that'll kind of help you make your decision. If you're a Mulholland owner and you were in that seat where you had to pick between the LiveWire One and the Mulholland, make sure you drop some wisdom in the comments below, so that way it kind of gives other people an idea of what they need to be looking at. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.